You're standing at a bus stop, it's freezing, and your skin just went bumpy without asking. Tiny bumps rise across your arms, each one lifting a single little hair straight up. You didn't decide to do this, your body just did it, completely on its own. Those are goosebumps, and right now, they are doing absolutely nothing for you. The thick fur they're trying to fluff up vanished from your body a very long time ago. You are running a survival program for a warm coat you no longer own. Here's the part nobody ever tells you about the human body. You are walking around carrying dozens of parts that stopped working ages ago. Leftover spare parts from ancestors who needed them and passed them down anyway. Evolution never cleans up after itself. It just stops using things and moves on. And one of these useless parts can still turn on you and nearly kill you. Some of them try to move muscles that disappeared millions of years ago. One of them is a tendon that half of you don't even have. We're going to go through every one of them, one by one. Stay with me. So let's go back to those goosebumps for a second. Each hair on your body sits on top of a tiny muscle called the arrector pili. When you're cold, that little muscle yanks the hair bolt upright. In a furry animal, that traps a warm layer of air against the skin. A scared cat does the exact same thing to look twice its size. That's why a frightened cat puffs up into a spiky little ball. Your ancestor, covered in thick hair, got that same benefit for free. Puffed up fur meant warmth, and it meant looking bigger to a predator. But you lost the fur, and stubbornly kept the muscles. So now you just get tiny useless bumps when a sad song comes on. Now try to wiggle your ears without touching them. Most of you can't, and a few of you just startled someone sitting nearby. You have 3 muscles wrapped around each ear, called the auricular muscles. In most mammals, these swivel the ears toward anything interesting. A cat hears a noise and rotates its ears like 2 tiny radar dishes. Your ancestors could probably do a faint version of the very same trick. Today, those muscles are still wired straight to your brain, ready to fire. Scientists have measured them twitching towards sudden sounds behind you. Your ears actually try to turn, they just can't move anymore. It's a reflex still firing on equipment that retired thousands of years ago. Now, reach down to the very base of your spine. That little pointed bit at the bottom is your coccyx, your tailbone. It is the leftover stub of an actual tail. As an embryo, you briefly had a tail, just weeks before you were born. Around week 8, your body quietly absorbed most of it back. What stayed behind is a few stack of 3 to 5 tiny bones. It does anchor a few muscles now, so it isn't completely lazy. But its original job steering a whole tail is long gone. And anyone who has slipped on ice knows exactly where it is. Landing on a tail you don't have still hurts more than almost anything. Now rest your forearm on a table, palm facing up. Touch your thumb to your pinky and lift your wrist slightly off the surface. See a thin band suddenly pop up in the middle of your wrist? That is a tendon called the palmaris longus. It connects to a muscle that helped our ancestors grip and climb. In humans, it adds almost no extra gripping strength at all. And here's the strange part, not everyone even has it. Roughly 1 in 10 people are missing it in one or both arms. If your wrist stayed flat, you're one of them, and you've lost nothing. Surgeons actually like this tendon precisely because it's so useless. They harvest it for reconstructions, knowing you will never miss it. A spare part so pointless, it became a spare part for other parts. So far, the leftovers were quiet. The weird ones are just getting started. Open wide. At the very back of your jaw sit teeth that no longer fit. They're your wisdom teeth, a 3rd set of molars, for a mouth you no longer have. Your ancestors had a heavier jaw and chewed tough raw roots all day long. Then we learned to cook. Softer food needs less chewing, so the jaw shrank. But nobody told the teeth. You still grow all 32 in a smaller mouth. So the last molars arrive sideways, jammed against their neighbors. Dentists call them impacted. Millions of people have them surgically dug out. Evolution left you a repair bill. And roughly 1 in 3 of us is now simply born without them. Now look in a mirror at the inner corner of your eye. See that small pink fold? It's called the plica semilunaris, your third eyelid. Most animals have a full one, a see-through curtain that sweeps sideways across the eye. A cat closes it while dozing. A bird flicks it across mid-flight to shield its eye. It's called the nictitating membrane, and for them, it's genuinely useful. Yours can't move. It's a shriveled pink stump, welded in place, sweeping nothing. It doesn't clean your eye, doesn't protect it, doesn't do a single thing. Side by side, the animal's curtain still works. Yours is just leftover trim. Run a finger along the upper rim of your ear. Some of you just felt a bump. That little thickening has a name: Darwin's tubercle. Darwin himself flagged it in 1871 as a leftover from pointed animal ears. Picture a fox or a monkey. The ear tapers to a point at the top. Your ancestors had that point too. Over time, the tip folded inward and flattened. The bump is where the point used to be a tiny fossil on your head. Only about 1 in 10 people still has it. Go on, check right now. Here's one that stumps people at dinner parties. Why do men have nipples? They can't nurse a baby. They serve no reproductive purpose. And yet, there they are. The answer is timing. Every human embryo starts from the same basic template. For the first weeks, before any sex signal arrives, the body follows one shared blueprint. Nipples get built early, on that blueprint, before the body knows where it's headed. Around week 6, a surge of testosterone finally splits the two body plans apart. But the nipples are already there, and evolution rarely deletes what does no harm. They're a factory setting nobody switched off, including, rarely, the ability to lactate. Now breathe in through your nose. Tucked just inside sit 2 microscopic pits. That's your vomeronasal organ in most animals, a dedicated pheromone detector. A snake flicks its tongue to shovel scent particles straight onto that organ. A cat curls its lip and freezes that odd grimace as it tasting the air. In you, it's a dead-end pocket. The nerves that should wire it never form. You've got the sensor, you just never got the cable that plugs it in. Whether humans still sense pheromones at all is a genuine scientific fight. So, somewhere behind your nostrils, an old scent radar sits quietly switched off. Look at your forearm in good light. It's covered in fine, near-invisible hairs. Thousands of them far too thin and sparse to keep you warm. Your ancestors wore a thick coat of fur that actually did the job. That coat trapped heat, and it could puff up to trap even more. Which is exactly what your goosebumps still try to do for fur you no longer own. A few patches still earn their keep. Eyebrows steer sweat away from your eyes. Eyelashes catch dust. But the fuzz on your knuckles? Pure inheritance. You are, basically, a balding ape that kept the wiring for a lost coat. Reach down to your calf. Buried inside is a muscle so thin it looks like a nerve. It's the plantaris, and in apes, it helps the feet grip and grab. An ape can hang from a branch by its toes like a second pair of hands. Your feet can't. Try picking up a pencil with your toes and see how it goes. So the muscle lingered, doing almost nothing, in about 90% of legs. The other 10% are simply born without it and never notice a thing. Surgeons harvest it too. Right beside that spare wrist tendon, 2 spares, 1 body. Every leftover so far was useless but harmless. The next one can land you in hospital. Meet the appendix, a dead-end pouch of gut about the length of your finger. For a century, textbooks called it the classic useless organ. Darwin himself guessed it was a shrunken leftover of a plant-digesting pouch. Your leaf-eating ancestors used a big fermenting pouch to break down tough plants. As diets shifted to meat and fruit, that pouch shrank to this little stub. So it just sits there, doing apparently nothing, for your entire life. Then one day, it can block, swell, and start to rot inside you. That's appendicitis, and here's exactly why it's dangerous. A tiny lump of hardened stool or swelling seals its narrow opening shut. Bacteria trapped inside multiply with nowhere left to drain. Pressure builds, the wall balloons, and the blood supply gets choked off. The tissue starts to die often within just 48 to 72 hours. Then the wall bursts, spilling infections straight into your belly. That's peritonitis. The whole abdominal cavity goes septic. Untreated, a burst appendix killed most of the people it happened to. This little nub is the leftover that closes the loop I opened at the start. Roughly 1 in 20 people get appendicitis at some point in their life. The fix is blunt. Surgeons cut it out and nobody says goodbye. Around 300,000 appendix removals happen every single year in the US alone. For a century, that was the whole story. Useless, dangerous, gone. Then here's the part nobody mentioned. It has a day job. Your gut holds trillions of helpful bacteria you genuinely can't live without. A stomach bug or bad infection can flush that entire colony out. The appendix, it turns out, is a safe house. Tucked in that dead-end pouch, a backup crew of microbes hides out. When the storm passes, they crawl out and reseed your whole gut. The useless organ was quietly running a bacterial insurance policy the whole time. People without an appendix recover their gut flora a little more slowly. And once you look closely, the appendix isn't the only double agent. Those goosebumps that raise fur you don't even have? Fully repurposed. The same nerves now fire for music, awe, and a really good chorus. Your body kept the old wiring and simply gave it a brand new trigger. Wisdom teeth, useless in most modern mouths, are now spare part gold. Dentists harvest their stem cells to help regrow damaged tissue. The tailbone you once sat on wrong anchors the muscles of your pelvic floor. Lose it, and things you would very much rather not drop would drop. Body hair you thought was pointless is really a field of touch sensors. Each strand feels a crawling insect on your skin before it ever bites. Even male nipples, the classic punchline, aren't quite nothing. They're proof of a shared blueprint that every human body starts from. Evolution rarely deletes anything. It mostly repurposes, ignores, or just forgets. Your body is less a clean design than a lived-in attic. Full of boxes nobody ever unpacked, and a few quietly still useful. Which brings us all the way back to a cold morning and a bus stop. You're standing there with no coat, waiting, your breath fogging the air. The wind cuts straight through your shirt, and then it happens again. The skin on your arms tightens into 100 tiny bumps. Your arrector pili muscles are pulling hard on hairs that barely exist. They're trying to fluff up a coat of fur you lost long ago. A reflex built for an animal you haven't been for 1,000,000 years. It won't warm you. It never will. It fires anyway. And now, standing there shivering, you know exactly what it's doing. Every single bump is an ancestor's body, still running inside yours. Useless, faithful, and absolutely certain that it's helping. The bus finally arrives. You get on, arms still prickling. Your body doing its very best for a life it no longer lives.